guys, how are you? Andy Suku Finance, CEO Y2K Credit Solutions. In this video, I want to share a consultation that I had with a client. Not once, not twice, 3 times we had this consultation with this client within the first month. And it included the client filing bankruptcy. Now, I'm doing this video because it's very important where you get your information from. Because this client that I did the consultation with 3 times, going over the same information over and over, he seems to think that whatever he's reading on TikTok or Instagram was completely accurate, and what I'm telling him was completely false. So let's get into this. We have a client that filed bankruptcy, and he filed bankruptcy, this is 2024, he filed it in 22. He lives in the Bronx. And he filed bankruptcy with every single prime bank. Chase, every bank you could think of, he filed bankruptcy. Or he included that debt with that card in the bankruptcy. Okay? So now the bankruptcy went through. The debts got dismissed. Bankruptcy is discharged, finalized, closed. Now the client has all this information, negative information on his credit report. Now, if you've ever filed bankruptcy, you know that the negative accounts state on your credit report. It just says account included in the bankruptcy. Then there's a bankruptcy reporting on your credit report. Correct? If that's not correct, drop a comment below. Okay. So now the client has Capital One credit card, Credit One, First Premier, and the max limit is $2,500. Then he has all these high interest loans that he's taken out to rebuild his credit. So when I did the consultation with the client, I'm asking the client, why did you take these loans out? Oh, I was told to take it out to rebuild my credit. But I'm like, look at the interest rate you're paying. How are you rebuilding your credit? The bank is making money off of you. He's like, yeah, but it's working. My score is 690. Where are you seeing the scores at? Credit Karma. Okay, no problem. So we continue doing the consultation. So the client, he's like, I want to get my score to 720 so I can take another loan out, consolidate all of these debts that I have, and pay one loan. First off the bat, let me ask you guys a question. Does that even make sense? You have subprime credit cards, you have 3 loans, high interest, now you want to take another loan out. So obviously this client's finance and his financial education is screwed, right? It's misscrewed. Wherever he's getting information from, he's getting wrong information. So we go through the consultation, and I was like, do you understand that you already burnt the relationship with these creditors when you file bankruptcy? But let's take a step back. You already burnt the relationship with the creditors when you started missing 30, 60, 90 days and they closed the card on you. Then you decide to file bankruptcy. You can keep up with the payments or afford to pay it off. I said, do you understand that? I was like, do you understand that you are not going to be able to get credit cards from these companies like Chase, Discover? American Express is very iffy. I've seen them give clients credit cards back after they burn the relationship with them, but the limit's like $2,000, right? But it's a hit or miss. It's a hit or miss. Citibank, Chase, Discover, they're not going to issue any more credit cards. So he was like, why not? I know friends that got credit cards from these banks and they filed bankruptcy. I'm like, okay, well, show it to me. He went quiet. Crickets. Couldn't show it to me. Show it to me. If you're telling me your friends filed bankruptcy and you included these banks were included in the bankruptcy, and now the bank gave them credit, show it to me. One thing you need to realize, when it comes to the prime bank, you're like a speck of dust when it comes to the other gazillion clients that they have that's paying on time. They're not losing that much business by not having your business. The banks, I mean, are not losing that much business by not having your business, especially after you couldn't manage it the first time. Let's get that straight. Let's get that out there, okay? So now he's telling me, I was like, so you burnt all the bridges with the bank, so now you can only probably get credit cards like Bank of America, but then I looked at his credit report. He burnt that relationship too. I'm like, okay, so you burnt every single prime bank. It's going to be very tough for you to rebuild your credit with prime credit cards. So you want to be careful on what kind of subprime credit cards you're applying for. He's like, I'm confused. What are you talking about? He was like, can I not speak to the underwriter at the banks? I'm like, what? I'm like, could you repeat that question for me one more time? Or that statement? Can I not speak to the underwriters at the bank and let them know I'm paying all my bills, I have a job, they can extend the credit. I'm like, who do you think you are that you get to speak to underwriters at banks? No? Have you ever been to a bank and spoke to an underwriter? You spoke to a teller? You spoke to a private banking or whatever you call those guys that do loans? Have you ever spoken to an underwriter? Have you ever seen an underwriter in a bank? When you get denied for a credit card and we tell you, wait until we see what the letter says, and then we're going to dissect what the issue is. In some cases, we tell the client, hey, call the bank and tell them you need a manual review and ask for a supervisor. Have you ever called a bank and say, hey, let me speak to an underwriter? I'm like, that's not how it works. All right. So he's like, I'm confused. That's not what I was told. I'm like, where are you getting the information from, man? That's completely incorrect. And all this stuff you've been telling me is completely incorrect. So you need to really think twice about where you're getting the information from. The point of what I'm trying to get to you guys is when you file a bankruptcy, then he says, well, can I just call the banks now and tell them I want to pay the debt? I'm like, excuse me? After the bankruptcy has been discharged, you're alleviated from your debts. Now you want to call the banks and tell them you want to pay the debt back. Doesn't work like that. Why did you do that from the first case, in this first exception before filing bankruptcy? Doesn't work like that. He's like, I'm confused. He keeps saying the word, I'm confused, I'm confused. I'm like, what are you confused about? Everything that you're saying is black and white. It's on paper, black and white. Everything we're talking about is on paper, black and white. You could also Google the bankruptcy laws and read the bankruptcy laws, and it tells you information that you need to know in the bankruptcy laws. The point I'm trying to get to you guys is that once you file bankruptcy and you included X amount of creditors and you decide to burn a relationship with them, you cannot go back with them. And no bank's gonna let you speak to an underwriter because you want to speak to them by extending credit to you. It doesn't work like that. This is why we tell our clients, before you consider filing bankruptcy, schedule a consultation with us first, because the long-term effects is bad, really, really bad, than if you just decided to fix the problem and call it a day and move on. So if you're in a ton of debt and you consider filing bankruptcy, get a second opinion. Give our office a call first, schedule a consultation, and let's look over your credit report and your debts and your financial situation and see if that's the best route or course of action for you. If you have any questions, comments, drop it below and we'll get back to you. Talk to you soon. Have a good day.